All right, welcome to the Worksties After Hours, where we say what we want, when we want, because we have been in this industry of talent acquisition for 25 years. We've earned the right.
We have a lot of feelings, a
That's
lot of
right.
thoughts, a lot of feelings.
So true. Opinions, they run rampant around here. This episode brought to you by socialjobs.com, the game changer in recruitment marketing, leveraging social media advertising to take candidate sourcing to the next level. So hold our drink, get comfortable. Let's get into it because Worksties After Hours starts now, and we're about to say what you're thinking. So in this episode, we're talking about, Danielle, the social influencers again, and just not how all my social influencing dreams were smashed. But how do you know? No, I think it's a really good model. It's how do you do it? And then how do you, to our conversation that we were having the other day, how do you know if someone's following is legit? Because as we start to get into this model and say, promote our job, this is what it would look like out there and push out, there's so many, which we've learned on the LinkedIn banner posting. There's so many bots out there. There's so many paid. So you've seen people's social media influence go from, I don't know, 10 people. All of a sudden they have 100,000. You know, it's not real. Then you look at their content, especially if they're promoting something and you see a lot of generic post love this or comment whatever, and I'll send you the link, and it looks like all these people are commenting on it, but then you go and click on the profiles like, that's not a real person, it's just a bot and they're doing it, or somehow they've set up this algorithm to be able to comment on these posts and they're paying for them. So talking about how do you spot that and how do you see it, and this conversation came up because we were talking about someone who's on social media, shall remain nameless, that I was noticing, and I clearly noticed a non-promoted content versus a promoted content where they were paying for those likes, those follows, those comments, because the post that was organic had, I don't know, was it maybe like 50 or 60? And then the comments were like 10 or something like that. So those were real people that were liking it and commenting on it. Where the other posts where they're promoting a brand or they're doing different things was like, 100, 200, sometimes 300 likes. And then the comments, they were just 100 plus comments. And I'm like, that doesn't even seem right. And then they had, over 100,000 followers on top of it, which grew overnight, like quickly. And I noticed that there is a site, Danielle, I don't know if you know this, I just learned this actually. It's called Social Blade. And you can see if someone has had a large spike in their following,
Recently, too.
in those large spikes kind of show you or tell you that all of their reach might not be real, all of their comments might not be real, and things like that. So I thought that was really
Right.
interesting. Like, as we think about this, let's have a social influencer go social influence my job. How does a company know? How does a
Right.
recruiter know? How does recruitment marketing know? Whoever you're talking about, that they have a true following, and what does good look like? So I think that also changes
Mhm.
the dynamic of what does good look like. You normally have engagement on your posts, what, 1 to 5% of your total followers, if you're not pumping up your followers and not paying for it, I would say
Probably.
something like that. So what do you want someone to have and where do you want that message to reach? I think it becomes more important, not how many likes, comments they have, shares. What becomes more important is what is their true reach and how many real people do they have? But then as a company, how do you start to discern that?
Right. Yeah, because the one that you pointed me to when I looked at their profile and started going through some of their followers, um, and I think they had like well over 200,000 followers. Most of them had private accounts. Some of them had private accounts that had literally no postings at all, which I know there are people who are like that. I have a sister who has an account and she does not post anything, but she likes to go and see, her grandkids and, stuff like that. So I get it, but there can't be that many who are following a person, this kind of person, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say that I would be interested to know how a company kind of quantifies the value that somebody's reach gets them, because I know that, we've been looking at that with the podcast and the impressions we're getting and things like that. And it's definitely growing slowly, but it's an organic growth. I've had a lot of people reach out to say, I can help you to grow it. And I haven't really engaged with that so much to say, like, how do you do that? Or are you looking to just optimize the posts? If it's SEO and things like that, I mean, we can do that ourselves. But, there's always a price tag attached. And of course, somebody's not going to tell you exactly what they're going to do or how they're going to do it without you paying them. And so I'm just like, sorry, thank you. Anyway, we're not looking to pay anybody for something like that. And then of course there's the people who start podcasts who have a following because they're famous in some capacity. So therefore they automatically have a team that comes along with them. They have the infrastructure built around them as a celebrity
Mm-hmm.
to start building something and begin, sort of the media spin of it before they even launch. Like I saw Amy Poehler recently started a podcast, and I went to look up the podcast to like see, oh, when did this start or whatever, and like I don't think there had even been a new episode, like an episode yet. So I was like, oh wow. And then maybe there was like the trailer, but there was already on this one platform like almost 500 reviews. And I'm like, how are you reviewing something you haven't even listen
Yes.
to yet? I mean, is it just because you like her? Yeah, I like her too. She's cool, but like, wouldn't so that makes you even skeptical about that. Are
Mm.
these people who are being asked um to create some type of reviews? Are they incentivizing
No, so
people?
there's a product when I was setting up Osreen. There's this product that you can purchase and it will create reviews for you. It's like it's on Shopify and places like that. You can do it on Facebook. You can do different companies and things like that. So there is where you buy reviews essentially. So I was adamant. I was like, there is no way. One, I don't want someone to come in and give me a fake bad review on my product. And then two, I mean, let's be real. Everyone knows I'm a small business. And if all of a sudden I have 1,000 reviews on my products, that's a lie. So I actually set up the platform. There's a specific platform that I have where it's only if you're a verified product buyer can you review the product. So even if let's say I go and I ship you a product and I don't use your email because I know you and I want you to just to try it and I'm very excited about it, you can't come in and review that product unless I give you the email. But what I could do on the back end is if you say, hey, I love this, right? I can go in and I can add it for you on the back end. But there is programs out there. So when you also see these companies like I won't even name a name, but when you see a lot of these cosmetic companies that are new on the market, like, remove your dark spot or remove this. And then I buy it. Oh, I'm such a sucker. And I buy it. It doesn't work. But I'm like, damn it. Those were all fake reviews. I'm
Well,
so
and like
upset.
like Sephora actually has incentivized reviews. And I tried to like figure out how do I get in on that? How do I
Mhm.
get, and a lot of times if you look at the pictures, the people who are posting it kind of got all the same packaging. A lot of times they get it ahead of time before the launch so that there's a bunch of um reviews and stuff. And sometimes, there's sort of meh reviews or
Yeah.
like I didn't like this at all, it wasn't great. And then of course there's a disproportionate number of people, oh my god, this is the greatest product that ever existed. But these are people who obviously did get the product,
Hmm.
so you have to assume that they did try it. And so when I look at reviews on things, I usually try to look at a mix. Okay, like not really pay attention to the incentivized ones, but ones that are low, because sometimes, especially on Amazon, I've seen this where I'll go look at a review and look at the low ones, and a lot of them are like, I never received the product, or the product arrived broken, or whatever. And it's like, well, why are you reviewing that if Amazon shipped it and this is a small business? The small business didn't ship it, like, especially if it's that sort of situation.
Yeah.
But, so I'll kind of get a mix. And then if I feel like the people who are, recently reviewed it and are giving, what seems like an honest and maybe not perfect score, then I would trust that more.
Yeah. I think what to look for is like, I love it. This is so cool. Like there's such generic responses when it's like a bot.
Right.
And then if you're seeing all these
Right.
reshares, then you go look at a post that wasn't promoted, you'll see it out there. And I think when I think about the social influencers model, it can't be just based on engagement. it has to be you don't pay. And I think some of them run like this right now, but you don't pay unless there's a true conversion on that. Then what does a true conversion look like? And then are we in the danger zone, like we just talked about on the Indeed Easy Apply? Are we in the danger zone of saying,
Hearing some
like,
Kenny Loggins suddenly in my head. Yeah, sorry.
highway to the danger zone? But are you running into that where now all of a sudden you're getting these crap conversions, for lack of a better term? So I think it's definitely something that has to be watched and really understood. And like I said, I think it's a really smart model. I think it's a really good idea, but it's all going to be how someone manages it and how they look at it and how you look at data and how are you paying for it at the same time.
Right.
At some point, people are going to have to be real and be authentic because you're going to see you're paying for all this crap. Like you're paying for your likes and your follows and your reshares and it's from bots and things of that nature. Because when you look at that also, if you go to someone's follower count, because I've done it, like I've promoted, like I'm not saying I haven't done it at all. Because when I was looking, if you're a small business, I'm like, I just at least want followers so people think people are liking this brand or at least following it. And then same thing on the page, just I'll do this portion of it because I do want to get some visibility. Because if someone goes and they're like, only 10 people follow it, then there's some sort of, you know, they poo poo it maybe or whatever. So you do, but you lose those over time as those accounts get caught, you lose that following. So
That's
they're
true. Yeah.
constantly, ebbing and flowing, and their follower count too is what I would say is another flag to look for as you're looking at, who's going to influence for me.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times brands would even decide whether or not they even want to work with someone based upon their following.
Hmm.
So how do you, as a brand, say, oh, this is there must be some sort of formula that they, okay, it's a person who, has this many followers, they get this much of engagement on their posts, they kind of align with our brand values, etc. Because I think that that's all really important too. Because a lot of times people, especially like celebrities and things, will get more followers because something negative happens, and then they kind of want to follow to see,
Oh,
ooh,
yeah.
what did they say? What had happened? I want to be in on this or whatever. So that could actually backfire
Mhm.
too. I would think in some of those cases.
Yeah. What I was thinking about when I had the influencer dreams go down by the wayside, right? What I decided to stand up after that was if you're passionate about the product, if you love this product that I have and you're using it, is my influencer because, or that's who I said you can be in this program to earn commission and things like that. Because I know they love the product. So they'll talk about it. And I don't care if they reach one person or 10 people, because if they reach that one person who then buys it, and that one person loves it and they tell someone about it and they tell someone about it and they tell someone about it. So for me, what I had to just kind of really think about is it's not about, and I even had messaged someone, they were like really into fitness and things like that. And they were in the UK and I had followed them and I really loved the content she was pushing. And I was like, oh, maybe this would be a good, based on that. And I messaged her. I never heard back. But then I started thinking, what am I doing? Like from a brand perspective, when I Osreen, it's holistic, it's natural. I'm hand making it, it's handcrafted. I mean, if someone ever wants to buy the formula for,
Probably shipping to the UK.
yeah, right. I mean, if someone wants to buy formula for 7 million, I'll sell it. I was telling you this. I'll sell my
Hey,
proprietary
L'Oreal,
formula
if
for the
you're
right
looking,
amount.
I think L'Oreal's the biggest cosmetics, beauty brand
I
in the
want
world.
someone who's like also naturey to produce it, if I do give it up. But it takes me, I mean, days and days and days and days just to make the base oil. And then, when I'm making the formulas and things like that, adding to it. But I had to go back down to my roots. And I think that's what companies are going to have to do with this social media influencing is say, let me get to my roots. What really matters to me? Who do I want to be my captive audience? I want people who truly love my brand and want to have a conversation about it. And I think that's how you build success. And again, if you have someone who says something about a job, right? And you got to decide what this is worth to you. And let's say it's you get a conversion and that conversion is paid at a higher rate because that person got hired. So let's say your typical cost per hire is $10,000 when you figure it all out. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 1, maybe it's, I don't think we're in an environment where it's 1 anymore. But anyways, whatever your cost per hire is, then you say, okay, based on that, now I'll pay this influencer who brought this talent over. And it's almost like a referral fee, right? That's how I would think it would be successful, because then you're going to get the quality regardless of someone who has 500,000 fake followers. They're not going to do anything for you. They're not going to convert a candidate. So I'd rather have someone that has 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 followers and say, and their network is a good network and an active network, and they're really doing those things. And that's who I would have push out my jobs. And I had to kind of rethink it, just even, with the small business.
Yeah. No, I agree with that because like when I was actively on Instagram and selling product because I started a vintage reselling business in 13 for a variety of reasons. And I got really into it. And at the time, Instagram was sort of becoming a great place to sell things. And you had to kind of do it with, you'd invoice somebody through PayPal and et cetera. So it wasn't set up like an Instagram shop that I think exists today. But it was great. And I started literally with nothing, but I had started because I had been engaging with other people who were interested in the same stuff that I was interested in, what I was collecting. And so when I kind of announced that I was going to start selling stuff, because I had started accumulating things and was like, okay, either I have to store it, try to sell it. So I
Mhm.
started to sell it and I naturally started to build a following. I don't remember what my top, but at that time, I think I had like 2,500 followers or something on Instagram, which wasn't huge compared to some other people, but I had a lot of engagement. And when I sold stuff, I could like say, oh, I'm going to do a show tonight and have a bunch of, and I would have a lot of sales that, and I'd be busy for a couple days getting stuff out the door. But it was a lot of work, but that was all an audience that I built just out of networking with
Mhm.
people and finding people who are interested in the same thing and, following other people and commenting and, like there was work involved with me to be able to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would choose all day. Like, I think we have to rethink, to your point. Like, there was these companies that said you have to have X amount of followers to promote and do all that. And that caused these other companies to come in business that now sell followers, sell likes, sell the reshares, sell the comments, all that stuff. And going back to your organic kind of essential marketing, there's a difference to me between promoting a post so it gets in front of more eyes, which we haven't done that in organic marketing. Like, we're doing everything organic, but if we had the dollars, would we ever push something out there and say, let's get it in front of more eyes? Absolutely. But you're paying for that post to be elevated, not for, any followers or likes or things like that on the show. Like, if we say we need 1,000 YouTube followers, I want to grow that organically because I want to know our audience is interested on what we're saying. So would we lift it to get in front of more people to say, oh, I might like to listen to the Worksties?
Sure.
Absolutely. Like, same thing with the products that I sell. Will I lift it to get in front of more people to say, hey, you might like Osreen,
Because
but not the other
yeah, because
pieces of
they're
it?
right. And there's risk associated with that too, because the more people who see it, the more negative you're going to get. So there is like a management piece of that too, where you're going to
Yes.
right now where it's getting in front of people that we know who are sort of like-minded, who have similar interests.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas eventually, if it starts going outside of that, then we're going to be opening ourselves up to more negative comments and things that we'll probably have to manage differently. Right now,
Yes.
we're like, "Oh, somebody commented. Woohoo!" Like, it's a big deal, but,
Some new
you
follower.
know?
Ding, 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 ding. Like, we get excited
What?
about those things. I'll tell you this story. So, it was when I was promoting Osreen and I was pushing things up in Facebook. And you do get the spams. Like, I kept getting your page is going to be deactivated. And so it does create a lot
Oh,
of junk
I've had that.
when you lift your post. So it's do it at your own risk. And there's a caution piece to that. But there was this guy, and I was getting so ticked off. And I don't know why it bugged me. I was like, you jerk, get off my post. But he would laugh at every post. And here I am posting about, this is an all organic. This is, wonderful. It's essential oils, it's herbs, roots, flowers, all those things. And I'm like, why
You're
is
like, "What's
bro?
funny about any of
Yeah.
this?"
Like, why is bro laughing at my post? So I inbox him. And I'm like, because he's a real person. I could tell he's a real person. I'm like, why are you laughing at these posts? And he's like, you're just another snake oil salesman. And so I said to him, and I said,
Why
well,
are you engaging then?
yes. Well, and I said, little do you know, he's like, I just want to make you pay for whatever. And I said, you're not making me pay for anything. And I said, by the way, your laugh gives me more engagement. So thanks.
Right.
Was
Yeah,
so
by
ticked.
engaging, it's actually helping me. So thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for laughing at the post. But then I blocked him after that. Because I was like, I don't want a laughy face on my stupid, well, it wasn't a stupid post, but you know what I mean? Like a stupid laughy face on my post. Like, anyway, so I had a bone to pick with the guy. So I did it. And I was like, well, may you always stay in good health and never need actual healing with a healing cream. That's mine.
Because I'm not sending you any samples.
I was petty. Did get petty on that one. I couldn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's funny that he's got so much time that he can follow you to see your posts, to laugh at them because he thinks it's going to cost you money, and so he wants to do you harm when you've literally done nothing to him. But in actuality, all it's doing is just providing more lift to your post because it's driving engagement.
Yeah, I'm like, you have
And a lot
no
of people
idea.
don't understand that. Like, if you do not like a person and you follow them and then comment on them, whether it's negative or positive, you are helping them in the algorithm because the algorithm isn't going to judge tone.
Yeah.
Like if your tone is negative, positive, or indifferent, it does not know. It's only just going to see, oh, people like this. People are engaging with it. So therefore, we're going to push it higher in the algorithm. We're going to put it out to more eyes because this is what people are engaging with.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it's like, okay, boomer, you obviously don't know how this works.
He was
You know,
older. That's so funny. He was an older guy. But I think, with the word snake oil salesman, I mean that was a giveaway.
right. Like, do you even know anything about what I'm selling or what I'm talking about?
All of a sudden I saw myself in the 1930s, with the gear on and
Right.
selling snake oil. He was like, do I get a hat with that? I mean, do I get a hat? I don't know. But
Right.
yeah, so when I
That'd
think
be
about to
cool.
that point, Danielle, when you're saying like all engagement is good engagement, like I stopped commenting on one sometimes people's posts, like especially on LinkedIn, the influencer posts. Like there was this one guy, I won't say his name, but anytime I would post something, this is when we were at Clover, he would kind of regurgitate it in a different way. And I was getting ticked. I'm like, at least credit me. Like at least I know this is what you're doing. And I would comment sometimes on his post, but I was giving him more engagement. I saw, like his lift go up based on, my following and things like that. I stopped altogether and I removed myself from that. But now I'm really conscious of what do I comment on because I know it's going to give lift. What do I like? Because I know it's going to give lift. I know people are going to see my comment out there. Like on yours, I could see on the open to work how many impressions that people saw my comment on there,
Mhm.
which I thought was really cool. Like, oh, how many, like, can you see like who it goes to and what are the titles and companies? That would be
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
can't see
But
that. I can just see from it like how many people repost it. I haven't I'll there's more analytics I haven't really dived into, but I will because I think it's interesting and it helps us to understand, what's happening, how
yeah,
this works.
yeah. I think it's going to get really interesting as we kind of move into this new model, this new way. I think partners like, where I'm at today, the programmatic partners are going to become more and more important because they're pushing it in front of a real audience, social jobs, pushing it in front of a real audience. So, however you're using these things to be conscious of it, and then we have an influencer that comes in to speak about it. What's important to you? It's not the number of followers. It shouldn't be the number of comments or likes. It should be I think the questions people need to start asking, what does your organic audience look like? And then go to things like these tools. I'm going to have to check it out. Didn't go on it. Like I found it. It's like, that would be interesting to take a look at Social Blade to see. And I want to run myself on it
Yeah,
to
I'll
see
look,
what
go
you
look.
see. But I think going to those things is going to be really important because you want to make sure that the voice that you have representing you is they're a real voice, obviously, if they're saying it, but is their following and their intent in what is your mission statement you want to push out there going to become more and more important.
Right.
Yeah,
I
smart
agree.
model. But all right, I guess we'll close this conversation there. This episode was sponsored by Social Jobs. Go ahead, Danielle. It's all yours.
Like comment, subscribe, follow, share, all the things. And be sure to catch up on old episodes. Somebody was just telling us that they got caught up on old episodes while sitting on a plane. Excellent time to get caught up on something. So we appreciate that.
That's right. On their way to Hawaii at that. So I was a little jealous.
All right. I
I
didn't need
know.
that
It's like,
information.
can I go 2-pack me in your suitcase?
Hey, good for them. Good for them.
That's right. That's right. All right. Buy us a cup of coffee. We're on all your favorite listening portals. Like, follow, share, comment. And until next time, bye.